There is no faction in Labour Party by the law, by our constitution, because our constitution is very clear. You cannot stand up and start parading yourself as a national officer. There are processes by which a national officer evolves. The first, you must be elected by the National Convention. And I'm talking about Article 13, 1BIV. You can check it in the Labour Constitution. And then, even if there is a sudden vacancy in the party, it is still the National Executive Council that will replace the vacancy. And I'm talking about Article 13, 2BXVI. You can check it in the Labour Constitution. So somebody cannot just walk from anywhere and start telling you he's the national chairman of the Labour Party, and then you start ascribing that it's the faction. You're free to say anything. So please, we just have the legitimate party officers that are meeting in the National Party House. Now, these are the different leanings of Labour Party. You have the TUC, you have the NLC, then you have the National Working Committee, then you have the National Convention. Please, the people you call faction, which of this leaning is backing them up? You know, when they came in here to break into this office, and what they did was illegal. They said there was a purported ex parte order. Excuse me, and I talk as a lawyer. If a judge or a court gives an order, you as a human being do not have the right to enforce it. You cannot take the laws into your hands. Everybody is expected to obey the order of a court. If the people that are concerned do not obey the order, you go back to court for court to enforce their order. If you go and break in yourself, taking the laws into your hand, you are a criminal that has committed a criminal offense. Breaking into people's property is a criminal offense. So they criminally broke into this office, and that was why NLC called them rodents, and I agree. And they brought insecticide to fumigate this national office and threw them out. Now, since they were thrown out, did you see them here? Because they know what they did was illegal. They used thugs, they used the people, their paymasters, because they are now a department of another ruling party that is sponsoring them. As they said in this press conference, all they are looking out for is money. That is why I call them politicians of convenience and politicians of fortune. Here in Labour Party, we are politicians of conviction and politicians of fortitude. The whole idea of what they are doing is they are being paid so that they would distract us from chasing tenaciously our presidential mandate that was stolen from us. They are just a distraction to make sure that we do not focus on reclaiming our presidential mandate. And we are not going to succumb to that cheap blackmail. So they are, like I said, the NLC say they are rodents. I call them political clowns. My principles say it is a display of rascality. And so we cannot succumb to those blackmail. Please, stop referring to them as faction. Because I will ask you, on what authority? None of them was elected by the National Convention. None of them was elected by NEC to replace any vacancy. These are the only reason. And before you remove the national chairman, you have to get 2/3 of the National Convention, not even NEC. And some group of people are purporting that they have removed the national chairman. Okay, the so-called interim order, which I will come to, did he give any of them the right to assume the leadership of Labour Party? And the court is not supposed to interfere in the internal affairs of any political party. And I quote the case of Suleiman and APC, 2023, 5 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, part 1877. In that case, Supreme Court made it clear that you cannot interfere in the internal affairs of a political party. The Supreme Court made it clear again that a court that does not have jurisdiction cannot interfere in any act of the political party. And jurisdiction is where the cause of action arose. Now, this so-called suspension arose in Benin, in Edo State. What has the courts in FCT to do with an issue that arose in Edo State? Now, look at the trick. They want to tell you it is not about what happened in Edo State. It is about one allegation of crime. Go and read the originating summons, and I have it here. The first paragraph was talking about what happened in Edo State. The originating summons filed in FCT court. That is enough for the court to decline jurisdiction. That is the only civil issue that was there. And the court in Edo has given a restraining order, restraining anybody from tampering with the work of the national officers of Labour Party. And that order is there. The court in FCT has coordinate jurisdiction with the court in Edo. And so, if you have two court orders, you have the right to choose anyone. Two court orders of coordinate jurisdiction. You have the right to choose anyone that you would want to obey. Especially when you know that one obviously has no jurisdiction. And now, a judge used the instrumentality of an ex parte order to infringe on the civil rights and obligation of a Nigerian citizen. This is illegal on its own. An ex parte order is the order of a court on the application of a party without notice to the other party. So it is an order you get without hearing from the other party. You and I know that the law is that you cannot punish any Nigerian citizen unheard. It's against fair hearing. Section 36 makes it a fundamental human right that every Nigerian citizen is entitled to be heard before his civil rights and obligation is tampered with. Section 36, subsection 1. Then section 36, subsection 5 made it clear. When a Nigerian is charged with a criminal offense, he is presumed innocent until he is proved guilty. But look at a court using an ex parte order to condemn a Nigerian, to punish a Nigerian when you have not even heard from him. That is legal blasphemy. So the issue here is that is an abuse of ex parte order, which Supreme Court has been hammering on. If you want to use ex parte order, you use it sparingly to defend an applicant from an injury of a great nature, from an irreparable damage that will happen to him before you hear the other party. I'll give you an example. Government wants to demolish your property, and you know they've not given you notice, and you know they don't have any right to do it. They just want to victimize you. You have the power to go to court and get an ex parte order to stop the government from destroying your property, because if they destroy it, it will be an irreparable damage to you, and it has to be so urgent that the government wants to do it within 7 days, meaning the court will not have the opportunity to hear them before they do it. That is when you use ex parte order. But in this case, the judge used an ex parte order to cut off the head of a human being. A political party is a human being recognized by law, and the national chairman is the head of a political party. So using the ex parte order to tell a national chairman not to do his work, punishing him for nothing, an innocent man, that's what the Constitution said, that has not done anything, and you have not heard from him. Now, let me tell you another very funny thing. The police purported reports, which they are parading, which they annexed. The police itself says is a gossip, and nobody should use it. A gossip is a casual report about people, detailing information about them which have not been confirmed to be true. So the police itself say in the police report, and I'm talking about paragraph 5 of it, he said, please, this is for information only. Nobody should use this report. The police even say they will not be held liable if anybody uses this report. So what police cannot confirm is true because they've not heard the other party. A court relied on it without hearing the other party to punish the party. Is that not ridiculous?
So what's the bottom line of the situation based on the question you asked?
Good. The bottom line is that there is no faction. You were in this particular meeting that is held. You saw the chairmen and secretaries of all the states. The quorum of any meeting in Labour Party is 1/3. So if you look at the composition of the membership of NEC, and I am talking about Article 13, 2B, 2A, you will see the composition of NEC. You must form a quorum. If you don't have the chairman and the secretaries, you saw the National Working Committee. Which quorum do you have to start parading yourself that you are doing a NEC meeting in Bauchi? It is criminality. They are impostors. They are not members of this party. They've been expelled by the legitimate authority, NEC, the ones that were there before. So on what basis are they doing that so-called NEC in Bauchi? Like I said, you saw the people here physically. The chairman of chairmen talked. So on what basis? So please, that is a show of impunity, criminality, illegality, corruption, and they are doing it to satisfy their paymasters, just to distract us.
Thank you very much.